So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you a brief history of Matt. Now, I have to admit, I only met Matt when I was about 13. Previous to this, he'd been under the sort of responsible guidance and sage counsel of his elder brother Adam. So it's very doubtful there are any sort of stories that you're missing out on. I was actually introduced to Matthew, and you can kill me for this, as Pastor. This is his boarding house nickname. I was actually very jealous because I've always wanted a nickname, and he had a pretty cool one. I don't know what it means, but it's stuck. So I didn't really know what to make of his character, Pastor, when I first met him. But it wasn't long before I heard my first story about him. So I met Matt through the boathouse writing, and he was a character that wanted to, at that time, wanted to be involved in the school play in some capacity. But as a self-respecting oarsman, there was no way he could actually be in the cast. So he had a job in the lighting crew. As the story goes, I wish I'd been able to actually see it happen. On the final night of the play, Matthew went down to the teacher's common room, swiped a bottle of the sort of celebratory champagne, and took it back into the lighting box. He was in there for a while, and then around midnight, when he was next seen, he was sprinting around the school corridors, naked, with an empty bottle of champagne. Matthew slowly grew up a good, solid group of friends, predominantly through rowing, through the boathouse. And we all grew to be really tight through school. I think if you took our school life and you broke it down into, you took our interests at school and broke it down into a pie chart, the large majority of the pie chart would be rowing. The second chunk of the pie chart would be going to the Blue Anchor pub across from school. There was a small tranche that was academia, and then another small tranche was watching Top Gun as much as possible. That was the school time, but the best times are in the summer. Most summers, Matthew went down to Bournemouth, to the place down there, and we'd often visit him. But he had a couple of summer jobs. Summer job number one was a Bournemouth tour guide, a bus tour guide. Which seemed a little strange. It seemed even stranger when he told us that, in fact, he only knew one fact about Bournemouth. Something about it post-course. It wasn't that interesting. So the rest of the stuff, I'm sure he just ad-libbed. His second favourite summer job down in Bournemouth was working at KFC. Another thing, I really wish I'd witnessed him in a KFC uniform. The one thing he loved there, though, was the 5-second rule. Apparently, he was told if the chicken is on the floor for less than 5 seconds, it's fine to go back in the fryer. The fryer will kill any of the other germs. But really, the best part of the summers was spending time in our friend's chateau in Normandy almost every summer. Matt and I were roommates, and we also shared our spot on the cooking rota. Our specialty, as it turns out, was pasta alla Leon herrings. And if anyone wants the recipe for that, you can see me afterwards. I got to throw in a quick aside, because as my wedding gift from Adam, they didn't know about it, but they'd bought me a bottle of Leon herrings. It's a special edition, so that's awesome. There was a lot of competition in Normandy. First of all, was backgammon. I actually taught Matt backgammon 1 year, and then it took him 2 years to actually beat me. First year, it took him 1 year to establish that I kept changing the rules. And another year We also fiercely competed at tennis. Neither of us were any good. But I remember one specific tennis match we had against each other where we just stood there serving double faults pretty much all afternoon. Until Matt threw his tennis racket down to the ground and exclaimed, well, whose stupid idea was it to put a net right slap bang in the middle of the tennis court? The biggest competition of all in Normandy, though, was who could be the most patriotic Brit. And Matt suggested the best way to prove this was to see who could speak the least French words while we were in Normandy. Matt failed epically. And to list some of the words he failed with, there was multiple le's and las prefixing English words. That he frequently said baguette and croissant, which we all know should be French stick and crescent. A strange one, he once said ooh la la, which is 3 French words. It's also very girly. And then, most of all, during a game of the board game Risk, Matt used the French's phrase of all, I surrender. I remember after these summers we returned back to St Paul's to school for A-levels. At A-level time, Matt had changed a little bit. He'd become extremely studious and taken to revising, a tactic which I consider as cheating. In fact, he'd rejigged the pie chart, taking away some of the hard Top Gun and rowing, and replaced it with studying. As it turned out, this gamble paid off. And then Matt ended up with excellent middle grades. I think it was straight A's. I can't check. These grades took Matt to Bristol University, where he studied physics, which essentially is pretty pointless. But there too, he sort of grew a decent group of friends, again through the boat club. And in fact, until these last few days, I haven't really properly met these guys from the boat club. Just having rowed against them all those years, all I knew was the back of their heads. Oh, if you don't like that, I better take it on later. In fact, one year I divulged to a couple of these guys. Matt's school nickname. It was about a year after I divulged that Matt called me up and asked me why everyone was calling him Bus Stop. Out of his rowing at Bristol, Matt came out with one treasured possession, which is his photo of him sculling with bulging muscles. I bring this up because when Iona get a wedding photo this day, we'll have a lovely spot right behind that photo. That actually to do a master's in physics. However, he must have known something. He must have known that his future father-in-law was an engineer, and they'd be able to have countless conversations about the complex interaction of molecules, thermodynamics. So after uni, Matt's interests changed. They changed from rowing in academia to accounting and iron. In fact, when we moved into an apartment together, we always laughed at Matt because it would take him about 45 minutes to iron one shirt perfectly. After about 10 years of practice and learning his skills, Matt now has this way under the 40-minute mark. I have to add something because the debating whether he bought it just because it had a suck and blow feature. The other thing that changed with Matt at this time was his bedtime. It went from late night partying to 8:30 bedtime. I bring this up because when you have kids, you're going to have the only kids that actually end up tucking their dad in. Matt was very successful in accounting at KPMG, and then his job changed. His job changed in some sort of secret job that he was unable to really tell us what he did, when he did it, what it was. It became a little suspicious. He started wearing Savile Row suits, driving an Aston Martin. This was all sounding very familiar. Boom, Matt, boom. So when he told me he met a girl, I could only assume it was some Soviet secret agent type. But then when he introduced me to Iona, I realized that she wasn't that kind of girl. So as it turned out, Matt was just a regular guy like the rest of us, who didn't really know what he was doing for a living. And as for the car, we all know what a car represents. To get slightly more serious, when Matt first called me up in Chicago, told me about this girl, there was something different. He was clearly crazy about her, and to use his own words from his earlier speech, you could clearly tell he was bowled over. As Matt would say, it was l'amour. I knew at that point, I knew from early on, it was only a matter of time before there would be wedding bells, provided Iona said yes to his proposal. Still on the serious front, Matt is actually my kindest, most dependable, selfless, and greatest friend a guy could have. I know he'll make a fantastic husband for Iona, and I'm sure vice versa. I'm really happy for the couple. It's after these kind words that I have a little bit of guilt. Because there's two photos I have them at they're under the closest chair on each of the tables out there. Folder, so there's one down there. There's two photos. One is my final bit of proof that Matt is in fact a closet Francophile. And the other one is a photo which Matt will never forgive me. Well, I remember when the second photo was taken and it was finally developed, because that's what you had to do in those days. Matt said, "This is bloody better not turn up at my wedding." Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to toast this beautiful couple. Ladies and gentlemen,